Thank you for joining me. This is Kati Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. The whole goal of this podcast and why we call it Beyond the Technique is because I believe it's what you do beyond your time, behind the chair, or at the side of a table, wherever you're providing services in this industry. What you do beyond the service itself is what will bring you massive success. This podcast exists for salon and spa owners and leaders to help elevate their team and the industry. So today's topic is how to work with people who annoy you. Oh, well, who's going to bring it up? So I'll be the one to bring it up. There are going to be people that you work with that annoy you. And you might think, oh, well, I don't really know. Don't feel like anybody is annoying where I work or who I work with. Well, maybe you're the one that they all feel is the annoying one. Tough love. Today we're going to get into it. And by the way, every Thursday it's you and I for a short conversation together. Every single Monday I bring guests on for a more inspirational or expertise who may or may not be inside of our industry. So every Monday, every Thursday, Thursdays, it's you and me. Here we are. And annoying people. And do you have neighbors who annoy you, people that you work with, people you go to church with, people at the gym, people in your workout class, people, you know what I mean? Like you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's that person. Well, today I want to reframe all of this for you because as leaders, you're going to come across people that you feel are annoying. But guess what? It's not them, it's the behavior. People aren't the problem, the behavior is the problem. So, this is about leadership, not avoidance. Because sometimes we're like, we're going to accept everybody for who they really are. Well, you don't have to accept certain behaviors. We're gonna like lean into that because if you lead people, this is part of your calling. And if you're like, I never signed up for this, well, then you can't sign up to be a leader. If you're choosing to be a leader in this industry for a salon and spa, you are signing up as part of the HR department. So we need to get that clear from the jump because I think it's the thing people think about leadership is like they're going to get to make decisions. They're going to hear what decisions are being made. They're going to a voice at the table about the trajectory of where the business is headed. But it comes at a price of sowing your energy, time, and resources into elevating oftentimes the behaviors and mindsets of your team around you. It's dealing with the emotions of others, and that is not easy. So, if that is not what you want, then leadership in this industry is not the right fit for you. So, owners, share this conversation with your leaders. And let's dive into reframing this challenge. If you feel like you work with people who annoy you, it's not the person, it's the behavior. So, first things first, don't make this about their identity. Be very, very careful that you separate the person from the behavior. Your goal, I'm sure, is to cultivate a healthy team. And that means that when you see behaviors that you feel annoyed by, you need to address them directly instead of avoiding that tension because over time it builds up and then you create this calloused or superficial relationship with another person because deep down you're like, ugh, I don't know if I like them. They kind of drive me nuts. It's like if you don't see it and say something at the jump, now, how do you know if you're saying the right things? We're going to really make sure that this isn't a reflection of something in yourself, that this is a real situation that deserves a conversation. So we never want to label people. We really want to give people grace and have an opportunity to coach them. You are meant to be that guide to help them be winners in their role and their vocation. And just remember, like, you're going to have things too. People see the good in you. They also see the not so good, the things that probably are things that they put up with that they wish they didn't maybe have to sometimes. So be gracious all around. The behaviors that you might display that people don't like, those are learned behaviors. And it's the same for them. But here's the good news learned behaviors and patterns can be rewired. And if you are somebody who's open to consistently changing, then hopefully you're attracting that into your business as well. And you're going to have other people who are going to be really open to feedback. This isn't about being overly critical. This is about being honest and clear. So, labeling someone as annoying, you're annoying. That person's annoying. And by the way, how many of you have the balls to tell somebody that they're annoying? Probably not many of you. If we're going to be really honest, we're telling other people, and that's gossip. That's also a problem. So, never label or share, gosh, this person's annoying or you're annoying me. Like, this is annoying. This automatically shuts down growth and it shuts you down because you've labeled them. So now it's like done, tightened up. You don't like to be wrong. I don't like to be wrong. Everybody is out to prove themselves to be right. It's a thing. So if you label somebody, you're shutting yourself down for growth or being open to the opportunity for others to change and be elevated. You never want to get stuck in that mindset. Keep yourself in a growth mindset, which means people can grow too. And identifying behavior creates a path forward. So instead of saying, she's so negative, you reframe it to say, she tends to focus on problems without solutions. Now that you've identified a consistent behavior that you don't love, now you can come up with, well, ironically, the solution to help with this problem. So, name the behavior clearly. So, what are some of those common annoying behaviors? It could be chronic lateness. Does that drive you wild? If somebody is chronically late, or they never look great. It might annoy you that you have standards at your salon to look as expensive as you charge, and then people show up and they kind of look nasty. You want to be nicer about it, but you're like, ugh, it bothers you deep down. Maybe you never have the guts to say anything. Identify it. Gossip or negativity, and that is a destroyer of your culture. Is that happening? Is that an annoying behavior that you see, or like a little kind of manipulative or narcissistic way somebody might go about gossip that seems like they're being helpful or just noticing things, but really they are cultivating gossip and negativity. And that's the same for people who talk about other people. If there are people consistently, all they want to do is talk about others, that is not great. And that you might think that's annoying. That's actually a behavior that needs to be confronted. Lack of accountability. It might be annoying if you talk with somebody and consistently their response is shifting blame or telling you the reason why this didn't go the way it should have, instead of being like, wow, I really need to fix XYZ. That also is important to identify. Passive aggressive communication, overconfidence or arrogance, constant complaining without solutions, a low urgency or lack of follow through. You think, gosh, how many times I have to ask this person? I've been nice, like, hey, are we going to tackle that project together? Or I know we're kind of waiting on you to finish your part of this project so we can move forward and get this goal out the door. And you might have somebody who's part of leadership or maybe just part of the team who has low energy and doesn't, they need to be told more than once or twice, that you need this done by this time. Needing excessive validation. If you have people around you that, gosh, they can't really take a compliment, like, they want it and they need it. And so you're like, girl, you did amazing at that balayage, or oh my gosh, those hair extensions were fire. And they're like, no. And they just constantly, it's like, take a compliment, be happy. Like, I know that you don't turn my good thing into a negative or a victim thing. Like, you did great. So if, I can understand that if you're around people that have that consistent behavior, that can feel annoying and just maybe resistance to change. Do you have people around you when you get excited and you want to grow and do new things? They're constantly trying to cock block the good ideas and put a stop to it. That can feel overwhelming sometimes. Like, okay, I now have to feel like selling you in particular every time I want to do something new or I have an idea. I know you're going to be the one to push back or tell me all the reasons it's not a great idea or not going to work. So I'm going to have to go out of my way to sell you on it. And that can feel like, this person annoys me. I don't even want to bring it up now so all of these really stunt growth. At the end of the day, these annoying behaviors can stunt the positivity and the growth of a company. So first things first, you need to identify your own triggers. As a leader, what triggers you may not be what triggers the leader that you work with. You both might be training the same new hire and you are loving this new hire. Oh my gosh, you just click with them. They're picking up what you're putting down. And then the other leader that works with them too is coming to you like, I can't handle this person. I see this red flag, this issue, this issue. So, what triggers you may not trigger somebody else, and vice versa. This is really important that you identify what annoys you specifically because it could reflect your own insecurities. Have you ever heard the saying, like when you point a finger at somebody, there's three pointing back at you? Physically do that right now. Point. You see those three fingers pointed back at you? Okay, I read a book way back in the day called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And it meant that anytime you don't like something about somebody else, it's because you are in complete denial that you have those characteristics within you. Now, here's the thing, the point of the book is you could never identify something you didn't like in somebody else unless you had those attributes yourself because you wouldn't know how to recognize it. You wouldn't know about it. So again, why people need grace. You need grace for yourself. You need grace for others. And you need to recognize what annoys you, what is triggering you. So ask yourself these really key questions. Number one, why does this bother me? And really dig deep. Take it aside. So this becomes more about you being careful in your response versus emotionally reactive in the moment. So there are going to be times that annoying behavior warrants a conversation, but don't be impulsive. Take a breath and ask yourself, why does this bother me? This is the second question, is this a values violation? Is this against our culture code? Or is this just a personality difference? If it's a personality difference, then you got to check yourself and make sure that you are not dimming somebody else's light for being different. But if it's a violation of values or your code of conduct or your culture, then absolutely it warrants a conversation. And asking yourself, like, am I reacting emotionally here or am I leading intentionally? When you are leading with intention, you are a culture keeper yourself. Your job and role is to help elevate others to live up to the standards because what you tolerate, you promote. And we don't want that. So, your brain over time develops these emotional responses based on your own past experiences. So, I think it's super interesting to sit down and write down what are those triggering things that set you a little bit on fire, like get you into an emotional state that may not be necessary. Maybe it is. And you should be very aware of that because awareness that will bring you to your powerful place to choose how you plan to respond if a response is needed. This is what clarity is all about, which will lead to respect and ultimately those results, which are growing the company. Okay, don't avoid it. So let's say you sit down, you reflect on the annoying behavior, you identify it. This is a violation of our values or our culture. So this is now where it is up to you to have a conversation. And if you avoid it, you are enabling it. This is not an option. And we do this too often where we're like, let's wait and see, wait and see. I'll tell you this, I have avoided the conflict of having a talk with people who don't look great behind the chair. They're charging over $90 for a haircut. I put up with it. I put up with it. I put up with, guess what? They grow, they leave, they go to a different place. Now they turn up and turn out. Now they put the effort in on their looks. I'm like, wow. So it was in you all the time. And I never had the guts to talk to you about it. I should have. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we let others live this lesser expectation? And it's because of your own insecurity, right? This is what we brought up earlier. Like, usually you have your own insecurities of like, well, if I bring it up, they might get upset with me or have resentment toward me or leave me. Your team will appreciate when you hold the standards of your business. And if appearance and professional appearance is one of those standards, then by all means, that is one of those topics you cannot avoid. Let's just say somebody in your meetings consistently interrupts. It's like it never fails. People can't get all of it out. They're interrupting. This might be an example of like, hey, you take them aside privately. You've reflected, you know that this is an issue. This is like a values issue, a culture issue. And maybe one of your values is that you want every individual at your company to feel seen and heard. I think we could all agree that that's an important value to have. So you take this person aside, you say, I've noticed when meetings start, you tend to jump in before others finish. I want to make sure that others feel seen and heard. I know you do too. Are you open? Now, this is where I take it to the next level. It's like, so I'm coming with like, what do you think you could do to solve that? Well, okay, but let me just say, hey, here's my idea for you. You tell me what you think. Would you be open to keeping a little notebook next to you? And when that great idea comes to your head or you really want to chime in, just jot it down, like one word to remind yourself to come back to it. By the way, I've had to learn this. I've been the one to interject and be like so excited. So it didn't come from a shady place. It came from a place of excitement. Ooh, I want to bring something up with that. Don't be the interrupter. Jot it down in a little notebook, and then it'll remind you to come back to that and bring it up. Being a podcaster has helped me do better at that. So hopefully that's a great tip for you as well. There are going to be times that you bring up to somebody else a behavior that you're noticing that's not basically acceptable. And then you do want to give them an opportunity to like come up with a few ideas of how we can work through this. And you do put the ownership or the ball in their court to find a solution. And that is really key, helping them take ownership of this, but being like having their back. If they're on your team, have their back. So you say, how can we improve this moving forward? Not how you can improve this going. How can we improve this going forward? They might bring something up to you that you're like, wow, I didn't even think of that. This could be a thing that I can help you solve with you, depending on the topic and depending on the annoying behavior that you're trying to overcome. And really just regulating yourself. Like you can't control how they might respond or react. This is where I brought up my own insecurities of like sometimes I'll avoid conflict because I'm afraid that basically I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of people losing relationships. I'm afraid of losing people in my life. So I will avoid hard things for that reason. And I know that that's not right. So you need to work on regulating your own emotions. Take a pause before you react. Choose how you're going to respond versus being again, reactive or emotional. And you don't have to match their energy. If somebody comes to meetings and they're consistently a downer, you don't have to come down to that level. You don't have to be a downer to appease them. Keep the energy lit. And you could take them aside and be like, look, I've noticed in the last few meetings that you felt a little low energy. Like, do these meetings, are they too early for you? Do you feel like this is not a great use of your time? Do you want to participate? And then you can allow them the exit. Like, this isn't a good fit for you. I want people in this room who are super excited to be here and who are going to be as jazzed and positive to rally everybody in the room to work towards the same goals together. Do not let your standards don't fall to the standards that you don't want to accept deep down. If you don't want to accept it deep down, this is your business. This is your role. You are the leader. You take ownership of what you have control over. You can't control how others might respond to it as long as you're doing it in a really clear and respectful way. So, boundaries, when you now have the conversation and you've set those boundaries or those expectations, that creates clarity. And now it is up to them to make a change. So, you might say, like, hey, as a whole entire group, I want you to know that we start meetings on time. And if you're late, we're continuing without you. Or if you are more than 10 minutes late, we just ask that you just don't come into the meeting because it interrupts things and we got to start over. We got to check in with you. How you doing today? Where are you at with things? So it just creates like we're thrown off our agenda. We don't get to everything and it's not fair to the rest of the group. So there's one example. Another might be like, look, we don't talk about team members who aren't present. If we aren't willing to say it to their face, then now if it's something as leaders we got to talk through about a certain situation, well, that's one thing. But if it's gossip and we don't plan to share it with them directly, that is not acceptable here. And by the way, we are a culture here that if you see a problem, we appreciate that. We want to know, but you need to come with a few ideas on how to solve that problem because you're going to have those people on your team that have a problem for every solution. That's also a flip side. That to me is very hard to handle. That's a behavior that I find annoying of when we come to the table with, like, here's a great idea. Here's something we can solve or do together. And you're going to have people on the team. They got a problem for every solution. You are going to have to confront that and let them know you bring the solution. If you see some problem with what we're talking about, I want to hear 3 ways that you believe that we can overcome that. Boundaries are healthy, you guys. It sets the tone for the culture, protects the culture. You create expectations, your standards, and it helps reduce repeated frustration. Because if you're putting up with this consistently, you are going to be frustrated consistently. And that's not great for anybody. It doesn't even put your mindset in the right position to work towards your growth goals together. When would it be time where it's like no longer acceptable and you have to decide that you need to part ways with people because the wrong behavior tolerated over time hurts the entire team? Have high standards and if you do, that will require at some point hard decisions to be made. So there are signs when it's time to part ways with somebody. When the behavior doesn't change after clear conversations, when boundaries are completely ignored repeatedly, when the culture is negatively impacted, or other team members feel it, then it's time to say, look, this is no longer benefiting all parties. This is not working anymore. Letting someone go can be, first off, a gift to the team. It could be a gift to the team. They may not realize it, but eventually they might see the light as time goes on. And it's honestly a gift to the person you're letting go because we're not the right fit for you, but you will find that group, that you will find that location. You will find that space where you feel like you belong and you deserve that. Everybody does. So, who is somebody that's been annoying you lately? Okay, here's what I want to challenge you with. Identify the behavior. What is it that annoys you about their behavior? What's your trigger? What is triggering you in this? And then, if it's reasonable, have the conversation this week yet. Do not wait. Sit down, create space, set aside intentional time, and have that heart to heart. And by the way, when you lead with heart and love, those clear ways to communicate hard things are going to come across a lot better when people know that you care. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. So great leaders don't avoid difficult people, they develop them or at times make the tough decisions. Your culture is shaped by what you tolerate. People don't ruin your culture. Unchecked behaviors do. So as a leader, you get to decide what stays and what goes. Friends, I hope that this podcast always inspires you and gets you excited to be a leader. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart and not in our industry. We're emotional, creative people, but lead with love, be clear. You've got this. And your girl here is always here for you. So until next time, everybody, have an awesome day and stay strong.
Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.